How long does it take to develop language? That's one of the questions I've been asked. The development of language, whether that language is verbal or through an alternative symbol system, takes time to move from single words through to complex sentences. Just as it's not an overnight process by any means for verbal speakers, it's not an overnight process for symbol speakers. But the speed of language development is dependent on the amount of immersion in language and in the symbol system being acquired. So Symbolit provides an option for you to increase how much language input you're providing to your symbol speaker in his or her symbol system. So supporting language and language development can happen at the touch of a button. 5 things I wish I knew at the beginning of this journey. I think hindsight is 2020, right? What do we wish we knew at the beginning of the augmentative communication journey, or at the beginning of our conversations with the therapists about our child's language development? What do we wish we knew? Well, let me boil it down for you. I wish I knew the importance of language. I wish I knew that the conversations about speech and the verbal production of speech are less important than the understanding of language. Language is that representation of thoughts and ideas and feelings and actions and activities. It's that conceptualization in our head that we can't see until it's expressed. But that's the most important part. Language is the building block of cognition. Language is the building block of social interaction. Language is really the building block of learning and development. So I wish I would have known the importance of language. Number 2, I wish I would have known that I need to speak in symbols all the time for my symbol speaker to develop language. That I need to speak in symbols so that they see and hear me speak. And that means I need to develop my proficiency on the system. I need to learn their system, but I can also use other symbol displays in order to be able to provide that language. I wish I knew that verbal language is one mode of expression, that for me, I can speak, I can talk in symbols, I can write, I can type, I can text, I can use multiple modes of symbolic communication, and they all express my understanding. What else? I wish I knew that there's a lot of misinformation out there and that I need to be an educated consumer. I need to ask more questions. Is that true? What's the literature say on that? Can you tell me about the research that gives you that information? I really want to be an educated consumer. Can't get the word out. All right. And the last point is I wish I knew that augmentative communication is a form of assistive technology, an assistive tool, that it's not a goal in and of itself. The goal is language and language development, but the way I get there is through augmentative communication. Now, Symbol-It is not a form of augmentative communication, not for the symbol speaker. It's a form of transcription and translation for me, the communication partner, so that I can speak in symbols. But it does not provide augmentative communication for your developing symbol speaker. For them, we make a decision on a speech generating device, on a system specifically for them. But Symbol-It is a tool for me to use so that I can support the language development of my symbol speaker. Let's talk about modeling and immersion. Modeling first. I love the symbol for modeling. It's a lady walking down a runway, a model walking down a runway. Well, what does that represent? That represents the idea of intentionality. For a model, you plan the event. You plan to get ready to show off that outfit or show off that activity. So modeling happens when you plan an intentional event. And yes, that's part of what we do for language and language development, but there's so much more incidental language that happens throughout the day. those phrases that you didn't plan or didn't expect that you would say, but needed to say in the moment. Whoa, hold up. We need to be careful with that. That's really breakable, right? Or, oh, goodness, that's what we're supposed to do. Yeah, we need to pick that up and take that with us so that someone doesn't step on it. Whatever it is, there's so much more language that happens when we're speaking incidentally. And the goal is to provide as much of that language in symbols as possible. When I plan an activity, I can plan to put the symbols with it. But when I don't plan an activity, then Symbol It provides a perfect way to be able to support that verbal language with picture symbols in real time. So, with the touch of a button, what you say can show up in symbols. How long does it take to develop language? That's one of the questions I've been asked. The development of language, whether that language is verbal or through an alternative symbol system, takes time to move from single words through to complex sentences. Just as it's not an overnight process by any means for verbal speakers, it's not an overnight process for symbol speakers. But the speed of language development is dependent on the amount of immersion in language and in the symbol system being acquired. So Symbol It provides an option for you to increase how much language input you're providing to your symbol speaker in his or her symbol system. So supporting language and language development can happen at the touch of a button.